Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco. Dish Out Up Movies, the only movie review show on YouTube to review movies in terms of food. And it's just Marco here once again to talk about Jerry and Marge Go Large. I'm sorry, but the title, Jerry and Marge Go Large. I gotta be honest, the title is, it sort of sounds like a porno. Kinda, I don't know. Am I don't know. It's a funny title. And anyways, this is the new Bryan Cranston, Annette Bening movie that just came out a couple of days ago. And I forgot about it coming out. There's so many things that come out that I just forget about, like, everything, because I'm just like, I don't know what to focus on. Like, oh, should I see that first? Should I see that next? Should I do that next? Like, it's a full schedule. Plus, I need to get started on reading the Goosebumps books again so that I have those to fall back on all the time when I need to do that, because I basically use Goosebumps book reviews as a sort of like a last minute thing if I don't have the time to watch something or review something that requires more effort and time, like a TV show. And I'm not saying Goosebumps books don't take time and effort to do, but they're helpful. They're helpful reviews to do. And in the same way that this movie is a helpful review to do, because this is not a big movie. It's not a small movie. It's a medium movie. And that's exactly what this movie is. I mean, you look at the title, you look at the cover, you look at the trailer, you know what you're going to get with this movie. It's very transparent in what you're going to be watching. You might as well see this movie at your local Redbox, or back when I remember as a kid, there was one time where Papa John's, they were giving away free movies on top of their pizzas. And you could order a pizza and they'd tape a movie on top of it. And we got All Dogs Go to Heaven 2, even though I never saw the first one, and so I never watched that. And we got this movie called The Durango Kids, which was a pretty queer trash movie. And it was pretty dumb and goofy. Like, it was weird. This is a movie like that I would picture them giving away on their pizza boxes. Is that a bad thing? No. Because there's so many movies that have come out, they make you angry. They make you upset. They really ruin your day. They disappoint you. They remind you of real world events for some reason. That's like as if people don't already get hammered over the head with political crap everywhere they go by every person. I mean, you can't even go to the grocery store without being reminded of politics. And for some reason they have to put that in movies too, and ruin movies and films and shows and everything else, because that's what they do. They ruin everything. That's why people say nobody likes politicians, nobody likes politics. It's because political people, politics, they ruin everything. And they just pollute everything with their toxicity. And this is a movie where you can watch it and you don't have to worry about that type of thing. It's a very good movie. I would say it's one of the best movies of the year. I don't think it's a fantastic movie by any means. It has quite a few flaws that are holding it back from being really, really good. But it's not bad, and it's not just okay. It's a good movie. And I can confidently say that. There's been lots of little movies this year where I've said, that's good, that's good. And it's just kind of me being nice, because I know that people have places they can grow. as these smaller filmmakers, they need to grow. They don't need to be held down by people who just constantly criticize them and just rip them to shreds. They need to grow so that they can make better and better films, because they're the ones who listen to reviews. The bigger movie reviews, those people couldn't care less about what I say in a review, because they just know, and they're smart enough to know, at least I'm talking about it. A movie like this, it needs people to talk about it, because it doesn't really, it's a very limited audience movie. It's a true story movie. That's another good thing, is because a lot of people want to see true story movies. I mean, people don't realize that, but true story movies are a very, very underrated film genre. And I know a lot of people would say, like, oh, how could that be? They get nominated for Oscars every year. Well, who cares about the fucking Oscars anymore? True story movies are not only a chance for stories to be told that are actually sometimes more entertaining than fake stories, but also they're a way for people to, it's a weird thing where you could take someone's life, or you can take a moment in their life and you can make that into a film. It's pretty weird. It's pretty strange. You wouldn't think that you could do that. I mean, because then a lot of people, they don't care. So this is a limited audience movie, and it's about these two older people. They're retired, and they're in their 60s, and that's my first issue. Is these people, they act like they're in their 90s. Like the movie starts off pretty bad. Pretty lame. It starts off, and the colors in this movie are bad too. I mean, it's another movie where the colors are all very dull and very, it's like looking at a retirement home commercial. Even the music is like music from a retirement home commercial. I mean, the music is just pretty bad. Up until the halfway point. The music gets better and better as the movie goes on, really, but it starts off and it's this really irritatingly bad music where it's like trying to make you feel good, and it's just, ugh. It's like being hugged by like some family relative who you think is like a creep, like, ooh, it's really, I don't want to hug that person, but okay. Like if your relative was like Harvey Weinstein, and you had to go to the Christmas party and hug Harvey Weinstein, that's what the music is like. It's very disingenuous and artificially happy, go lucky. The whole movie feels like that as well. I mean, there's very few moments in the movie where things get serious or things get... I mean, a lot of the times things are quote-unquote serious, but they're serious in like a goofy ha-ha-ha-ha type of way. So there's very few moments of seriousness. And I would say that, though, that this movie, even though it started off on a very rocky road, I mean, I was not looking forward to watching this whole thing after I started. I mean, it took like 30 minutes for me to really like the film. After the 30-minute mark, I was really, really loving everything that was going on. Of course, you have Bryan Cranston. He does a really good job, of course. And you'd think that, okay, and Annette Bening, I don't think I've seen like any of her movies. I can't even remember her in anything else that I've ever seen. She did a really good job as well. And then you also have, sorry, and you also have Rainn Wilson. He was a really good actor in this movie. You even had Michael McKean, They had this accountant. He was pretty good. I mean, everyone in this movie was pretty good. The main two stars, they are the standout, as they should be. And you'd think, though, that from the trailer, that, oh, of course, they just got Bryan Cranston because he was in Breaking Bad. So it's another story about an older guy, and he quote unquote breaks bad by, bending the law a little bit. Or, of course, he's not bending the law. He's just exposing a flaw in the lottery system, I guess. And, they show a clip of him in the trailer hiding money, and you know, it's like, okay, this is supposed to be Breaking Bad. They're clearly trying to ride off of Breaking Bad's coattails, but then you watch the movie and they're not. They're not at all trying to be Breaking Bad. That's why they don't have really any serious stuff in the movie. They don't have someone getting their head crushed with an ATM machine. They don't have anything like that in this film. What they are trying to do, or I guess they're not trying really, but yeah, they're not trying. This movie felt like Malcolm in the Middle. Malcolm in the Middle ended pretty badly. I mean, the last few seasons of Malcolm in the Middle, they really shit the bed. They did some really shitty choices with the characters. Like, they made Francis this loser idiot, and he just kind of, it was like they didn't know what to do with his character, and they had this weird storyline where his parents were always plotting for Malcolm to be the president of the United States. It was really bizarre and really, really just, ugh. Like, it just showed that they just wanted to end it as quickly as possible, and that they were despising the fact that they still had to make it. This film, though, it feels like the best sequel that we could have gotten to Malcolm in the Middle, kind of. I mean, you have this couple, and they're very reminiscent of Hal and Lois, except for just a lot more of a pleasant version of them. There's not a yelling and screaming and all that kind of crap. A lot more of like they're a really good couple. Like, this is probably one of my favorite film couples that I've seen in a while. I mean, they have such great chemistry, and they have these really sweet moments. Like, there's this moment where I guess she implies that he never took her to prom, and so he's dancing with her in this gas station while they're printing lottery tickets. And it's just like little moments like that where you're like, this is a really good couple. Like, you wish that you had I bet everyone, including me, wishes that they would have like a romantic partner like Bryan Cranston gets in this movie. I mean, seriously, like, it's an amazing couple. And they work so well together, and so it's them, and they're playing the lottery. And first off, I didn't really understand the flaw that he found in the lottery. I mean, I did get the idea that he had to buy more tickets to get more of a success chance. And guess what, everyone? That's exactly what I said. Exactly what I've been saying about television shows nowadays. The way that there are only 5 to 10 episodes. There are only 1 to 5 seasons. Because they can't, oh no, they can't overstay their welcome. Oh no, someone's gonna die. It's the same old shit. It's like a formula. It used to be shows can be however long they want, and they need to be longer because it's television. It's called long form storytelling. And the more episodes you have, the more chances you have at having a better show. And they follow that advice in the movie. They keep having to get more and more and more and more tickets so that they can have more and more success. And they ended up, at the end of the movie, they said that they won like millions of dollars. I never really got that in the movie at all. It really never felt like that. So that's another issue that I had. A lot of people have brought these issues up, and so I tend to agree with those issues that people brought up. And let's see. Well, of course, a lot of the movie just revolves around this couple, and they have to travel all the way to this gas station where Rainn Wilson is working, and he starts off and he's pretty like, just kind of meh. But then they cut him in, and it's a very nice and pleasant movie. You can imagine the people in Pleasantville enjoying this movie. Everything has to be pleasant. And obviously, oh wait, no, that wasn't the same guy. I was just gonna say, never mind about that. Let's see what else. Oh, and then of course you have a villain. After I talk about the villain, I want to talk about Queen Pins, because that's the closest movie comparison that I can make. This movie tries to, I don't, it was really strange, because the movie tried to have this villain in this young fraternity kid, and he's a nerd, and you kind of feel sorry for him over the course of the movie, because it seems like he just wants like more friends, and so he thinks that like if he can make money, that people will like him and they'll want to help him, and they can hang around him, and he really just wants some friends, and he wants to achieve success on his own terms. He's a lot like the Bryan Cranston character. And so I really like that in this movie. It's all about these characters who they have gone through life, and they've been very underestimated, and they've been under the radar, and they just want to achieve something and be known for something. They want to have the big number of money that like they like, for instance, Bryan Cranston, he was a factory worker for like most of his life, his character, Jerry. And obviously, winning the lottery, that's something a factory worker could only dream of doing. And so these characters are very identifiable. They're very sympathetic, because a lot of people, they just do these things, and they want to achieve something too. And so they can look at this movie and see that it's possible, technically. Although, I don't know, it's just, there are some issues with how it's framed and everything, and how it's, well, we'll get to that. There are some issues in this movie that I think hold it back from being amazing. But the villain kid, he's very stereotypical. And that's where some of the flaws come in, because there's a lot of lame attempts at jokes in this movie. There's a lot of like pretty like cringeworthy jokes that you think like, that wasn't that funny. That could have been better delivered. That could have been better written. A lot of strange jokes. There's this moment where Bryan Cranston meets the nerd from the fraternity, and the nerd, he's like walking around doing this villainous thing where you have the villain meeting the hero, and the villain is like, you know what? I've been watching you, and I know exactly what you're doing, and I'm just gonna put it this way: you better join me, or I am going to destroy you. How does that sound, Gramps? That's the whole sequence. It's a very cliche, stereotypical sequence There's moments like that where you don't even feel like this is a true story. It's just so unrealistic the way that he's talking and the way that. And then I think they're like, what did they say? I think they offered him like a slushie or I don't know, like a beer or something. Or no, I don't know. Like they offered him a drink, and he was like, "No thanks, Gramps and Grammy. I only drink Red Bull and brewskis." And it's like, what is this? Like, this is just so stereotypical. And then later on in the movie, he's talking with Bryan Cranston, and he's just like slurping down his Red Bull, and then he crushes it up, and it's like, this is like Michael Scott wrote this movie or something. Like, remember that Office episode where you had you sorry about that, I don't know what happened there, but you had Creed, and he like wanted to pretend like he was a young person, and so he was like drinking Red Bull and dyeing his hair and spiking it up. Like that's what this was equivalent to. There was a lot of stuff like that in the movie. Like, this was written by someone who's a little out of touch, which is a common theme with movies made in Hollywood, is that they're made by people who are out of touch with reality. And that's another reason why movies don't need to include reality at all. In terms of, like, political bullshit, because the people who make them, they're not in touch with reality. In fact, they like to make your reality worse for you based on who you vote for and what you choose to do with your body in certain ways. And so you had this villain, and of course, this is a little bit of a spoiler, but there's this really, really good scene. It's still cliche and stereotypical, and there's the scene where Bryan Cranston goes to the fraternity house, and he goes there to confront this kid. And the kid's like, "What did you, hey Gramps, what did you come here on your tractor?" And Bryan Cranston says, like, there's one variable you guys haven't thought of, and it's the human variable, human error. And he talked about how this nerd, he just wants friends, he just wants these people to help him. And it's a very good scene, because it's like, okay, finally this character has a little bit of depth, and it feels like we're going somewhere, and it's very good acting by Bryan Cranston. The way that he just destroys this kid, like, he just completely makes everyone see him for who he really is, and but at the same time, it is totally cliche the way that it's. Those scenes like in American Dad where Stan tells his son, that bully who's bullying you, maybe he's just having problems at home. And maybe if you talk to the bully about it and say, "Hey, bully, you just brutally punched me and almost killed me, but, are you having problems at home? I'm really sorry about whatever's going on, but everything's gonna be okay, little bully." That's what the scene was like. I mean, you have Bryan Cranston, and he's like, "Now, son, I just took my daily medicines. Son, I know that you are lonely, and that there's something else behind this business with the lottery." And it's just this totally disingenuous type of stuff like that. So the movie kind of, it was weird, because they weren't really that big of they weren't very much of they weren't good antagonists, to say the least. They were not good. In fact, the whole reason why, you know that they're not going to be able to do this lottery thing forever, and they get shut down eventually. Well, the reason why they get shut down is because of this bitch reporter and her fucking piece of shit boss who, they want to do like an article about these lottery people who are exposing this flaw in the lottery, and the whole reason they get shut down is because of these shitty ass newspaper people. So why did they even ever treat the nerd kid like the villain? He was never the villain at all. It was the newspaper people, which isn't surprising, by the way. So yeah, and then the movie ends with, of course, the whole movie. This is something else that's really queer too. Like the whole movie. I mean, they got millions of dollars from doing this lottery thing where they buy tickets and they win most of the time. Well, some of the time, and what they want to do with the money is more strange than anything. They want to give it to the town, and the town wants to do like a jazz festival, and it's like the most bizarre thing ever. Like that's what they're focused on, like doing. That's what they're focused on winning, and so that's what it all culminates in. Is that at the end of the movie, although they got shut down, they throw a jazz festival, and they have some person there I've never even seen before, and she was a good singer, and she was singing a Sycamore Tree song that they played the other time in the movie when they were dancing. And that's the end. I thought it was a decent movie. It had it was just so surface level, and it could have been so much more. It had a lot more potential. And there's this other movie that came out last year called Queen Pins. And it was a similar type of thing where you have these two people and they're having a shitty life. And so they find a way to expose a flaw and make a lot of money off of these stupid corporations and things. And they do this little scam with coupons where they sell copies of real coupons, counterfeit coupons, and then of course their business grows. More people get roped into their business, and then at the end of the movie they get shut down. It's the same type of movie. It's the same type of premise. It's the same type of characters for the most part. The villains are these very shitty, cold people who, they don't really. Well, of course, Vince Vaughn was a good person, but the fat guy stereotype. He was just this miserable person who just, he didn't care at all about anyone or anything except for the law, and his, just he was such a robotic person. And it was a good movie because it was funny, and it had a lot of hilarious moments. It had a lot of great laughs. It had a lot of great characters, and it did have some flaws though, but it felt like a better execution of what this movie wanted to be. This movie, it was not very funny, and the villains were not very fleshed out. In fact, the nerd at the end of the movie, all that happens is his dad says, "Hey son, I found out. Hey genius, I found out. Time to go home." That's all that happens to the nerd kid. He has nothing else to find out about at all. And in Queen Pins, of course, the villain characters, they are given like equal screen time to the main ones. So I would say that the reason why I like Jerry and Marge Go Large is because of the human aspect to it, the relationships, the characters. But I liked Queen Pins, I mean, not characters, but like, story and script somewhat. It's complicated. Not everything's perfect. But then Queen Pins is better with the comedy. Queen Pins is better with the pacing, the plot structure. The Jerry and Marge Go Large. It has a very weird plot structure where it has a lot of these little ideas, but then they never really flesh out. Like there's this subplot where Rainn Wilson, he has this really shitty wife, and he wants to use the lottery money winnings to divorce his wife, and he says, I've wanted to divorce her for a long time, but she always thought that I'd never have the money to do it. And so he gets to do that, but they have a little moment where he just says, she can take everything. I just want the lottery winning money. And then she finds out what it is, and she's like, "Oh shit!" But like, was that subplot like really necessary? I mean, I guess they're just showing like different people, how they're affected, and they can do these positive things with their winnings, but they don't really commit to anything. Like Queen Pins, they committed quite a bit. I mean, they had the main character. The main character in that movie was evil. I mean, she was pure fucking evil. And at the end of the movie, they showed that she didn't learn her lesson at all. And they clearly showed, like, these are bad people. They did some bad things. And the real heroes of the movie were the villains. The post office guy, Vince Vaughn, and of course the fatty stereotype. But in Jerry and Marge Go Large, it's just this very one-sided thing. It's pretty good though. I mean, I enjoyed it. I would say it is like in the top 5 for me, but I don't think it's like the top 3. It's not better than other movies, of course, like Top Gun. No, not in a million years. So what I would rate this movie in terms of food is, there was this one restaurant that I went to in Chicago, I think, and they had this special, it said on the menu that this was like a special type of fish, and it came with like, I don't know, green beans and a baked potato. And it was just, it was diner food. It was just very mediocre and simple and bland, and the fish, it was very bland, and it was overcooked, and it had just like a little bit of spice, and it was very bizarre. And it was not worth it. It said, this is a special fish, get it for extra $5. It was not worth it. And so I would say, like, this movie, it's pretty good, but it's nothing that's like gonna blow your mind. You have to go into this movie with a lower expectation, and then you'll end up enjoying it a lot more than you would have thought that you would, like me. Like, I thought this movie was going to be trash. The trailer was terrible. I mean, the trailer, oh. You want to talk about bad trailers? Like, that trailer was, oh. It made this movie just look so underwhelming and bad. But I would say this movie is worth watching. I would say that this movie would be good if you're sick or it's a rainy day. No, not a rainy day, because the whole movie has a very dulled down look, and so I don't think that'll help with a rainy day. But if you're sick and you need a movie to uplift you, then this is the one to do that. So please like this video and comment. Tell me if I was, I know I was confusing. I didn't know what, I didn't know what to really say. Like, there was some good stuff in the movie that was better than stuff in Queen Pins. Like, I know it was confusing, okay? I just don't know how to word my feelings on that aspect of the movie. But I will say the best part of the movie was the relationship and the two main actors. They really elevated this movie beyond straight to DVD movie quality. And then please subscribe to our channel if you'd like to see more movie reviews. Goodbye, everybody. See you soon.